Buenas tardes. Los hemos convocado el día de hoy para compartir el trabajo que estamos.
Good afternoon. We are going to share with you how we're going to solve the digital breach in South America and which are the opportunities of these new models, digitalization models in the region. My name is José Juan Aros, and I am Director of Public Affairs in Latin America. And we have the CEO of Telefónica in Latin America, Alfonso Gómez, Director of Business Businesses, Satriscan, and then the Director of Arcotol, the regulating agency of Ecuador, Andreas Hackl. Thank you very much, especially Gemma and Andres. And in order to improve the life of people through digitalization, in order to get an inclusive connectivity, in order to solve the problems, in order to present our approach. And that allows us to solve the problem of the digital breach in our region. The traditional model for the connectivity and regulatory policies is a model in these universal services. And also depending on the challenges of the region. And also to develop a better company. In Peru, for internet for everybody, and offering it with this wholesale model, the rural networks, in an independent vehicle. And also we had the Bidinvest in CAF and Meta. And in this effort, and we developed a company that doesn't give services to end customers, but they build networks for others. And what did we discover? There are three main ideas that allow us to think about a different world: innovation, cooperation, and sustainability. The model of Internet for All has allowed us to innovate. The first open run trials in Latin America were done for Internet for All, and we also tried the loon balloons that were deactivated later, but we showed that they could be used and operated and exploited. And also the connectivity in rural places is not only a problem of operators. We need to get in touch with other actors. And before the investment of Meta in Geo, we proved that we can collaborate in order to develop connectivity. And we also saw that the development banks could invest. And also in order to fund the credit. And when we talk about sustainability, when we use an operator through the market and we reduce the costs for everyone, and also offering services at the short run, and also to evolve in the access networks. And we had a rural network in 2G technology, and also we have transformed the access networks in order to give data services, and transforming the transporter strategy based on satellite solutions in order to introduce fiber and radio of high capacity. Today, we have covered 5 million Peruvians with this project, and we want to create a discussion in everything we have created in this business model and the public policies that can facilitate that the Internet for all, that is a reality in Peru, can be developed in many other countries. In Ecuador, but not only in Ecuador, but also Latin America. And also the main ideas of the Manifesto for Latin America. And we see that there are 5 main things that we can say. And also an environment that allows us to innovate. Introducing these quality standards in the rural sphere make no sense. So we need to liberate the strengths of the market with the unboxes in Colombia, for example, being aggressive in technological innovation and in financial innovation and operational innovation. And then something we also need is to incentivize the collaboration and the competencies and the cooperation. And we have discovered that the competencies for infrastructure is possible in urban places. In rural spaces, we need to think about efficiency and these regulations that are behind the needs of our society. And then finally, we think that the regulations, the legal work must liberate resources. And this means that what we pay in the spectrum, in sums, in taxes, has an impact on the possibility to expand the service. We need to rethink the spectrum policy and the tax policy that can be applied at rural spaces. And then finally, we need to make sure that we deploy in a simple way. We need to simplify, make processes homogeneous, especially from local governments and municipalities. And then finally, we want to reduce the technical barriers. And for example, non-ionizing emissions can be a very relevant aspect in the development of infrastructures. And this is what we've done after what we learned in Peru. And the idea today was to ask Alfonso, Gemma, and Andres to talk about how we can connect all Latin America, how we can expand the rural networks in our countries, and how we can do it in a sustainable way, and then also to guarantee the future and the present of connectivity. Thank you very much, Jose Juan. Thank you very much for being here. The idea is that you could share your ideas about rural connectivity. And rural connectivity to us in Telefónica is a way to close this breach. And this is what our president said. Technology is there. We need to give some values that allow us to understand that this digital breach is not sustainable, and also jointly public and private sectors can close this gap. And also we know the interest of the president in order to solve this digital breach. And how can we accelerate this closing of the gap of the digital breach? Well, the President Lasso said that they want to focus on rurality. Apart from we also have the Galapagos Islands with a very particular situation regarding connectivity. In the last 9 months, we transformed the telecommunications law regarding the funds, and 50% of awards collected from the operators are given to the state. So the operators are going to have their own resources in order to do the deployment in the rural areas. These means a change, an important change vis-a-vis the past. This situation means that these direct values have not been translated into the rurality. This is one of the actions that we have achieved at regulatory level. We are also doing a reform of the new regulation for radio electric spectrum, and it wants to boost the deployment, reduce the cost of the spectrum, and also to give us some incentives when they want to develop new technologies. The previous regulations are contrary to the deployment. So more connectivity, more deployment would mean more costs assumed by the operators, and this means that there is less investment. So the vision is to turn everything upside down so that these funds are oriented onto the islands and the rural sectors. Obviously, there are going to be differences because in the islands we need to use other mechanisms. And then a third scenario we are working on in the regulatory agenda. We are going to review the quality regulation, and we are going to establish specific conditions for the rural sector and the urban sector. And I share your vision that we cannot qualify both sectors the same way, because the metropole has nothing to do with the rural sectors. We need to do a reform. We need to work together with the society so they understand our vision and why we're going to do the things the way we want to do them. And these are the decisions we've made in the last 10 months, and this is our roadmap in the following months. Thank you very much, Andres. Gemma, the Bidinvest has been a natural partner, and with the president in the avant-garde always showed his concern in order to close this digital breach in Latin America. So which are the possibilities you see from Bidinvest? Well, first of all, thank you very much for having invited me. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Well, BID Group, the development bank in Latin America, is supporting these inclusiveness and connectivity approaches. Mauricio Caroni, our president, has established a roadmap. This is our institutional strategy, the 2025 vision that establishes the 5 axes for a sustainable and inclusive recovery of Latin America. First of all, regional integration and a strengthening of value chains, support to SMEs, as a great catalyzers and creators of employment in the region. Thirdly, climate action, adaptation and mitigation. Fourth, boost to parity, to gender equality, diversity and inclusion. And then fifth, the promotion of digital economy. So to us, it is one of the main axes. As we said, and we think that telecommunications and the digitalization of the economy are crucial, especially in this moment, in order to create jobs, increase the productivity, and improve the lives of the 650 million Latin America and from the Caribbean. So we think that the investments on connectivity are vital, and also to capture these digital dividends, efficiency, inclusion, and innovation. And in Bidinvest, we are the bank of the private sector. We join effort with Telefónica, a strategic partner, in order to close this breach. And we work in 4 main fields. One, the broadband providers, and also we work with companies that make these broadband more efficient, infrastructures, operators, wholesalers, and data centers, and we boost business models based on technology that make the most of all this connectivity. And what's happening with the fintech, agritech, healthcare. We are doing many things. And then finally, the creation and distribution of content. And it is important because this is what we do in the Internet for All. We have a value proposal that is fully differentiated. So on the one hand, we offer financial products. As Jose Juan said, we go far beyond a loan and that's it. We have invested on companies and we give technical assistance and we catalyze investment. So the needs are very big and we don't have this big amount of capital. So we want to create this idea so that others follow us. And Internet for All is a good example. This HEMA is very important. So having Bid Invest is not only having access to capital, but also accompanying a company. So to assume a risk with us so that we fulfill a social demand. This is the key of the pieces we need to match, because this approach needs us to put together the elements that we have at our disposal, not only money, that's for sure we need money, but not only this, we need management. Andres, going back to you, you said something, the use of the Universal Fund and the way we attend the rural connectivity through the Fund of Universal Services. This model we have shown that got to the end, and we need to find innovative solutions between private and public operators. So in Ecuador, is there room for innovation? How can we share the infrastructure and be more efficient and reach all the corners of the country? So we have rethought the way we assign all these, and we are fully convinced that we had different changes, and with the public-private opinions, and also in order to do infrastructure works, and also the regulatory agency, but we go hand in hand with the definition of the places and the needs that the population requires. And we need a direct collaboration of all the operators. So we need to manage with different operators, and it has to be more flexible. And now the idea is to optimize the existing resources. So I think that we can efficiently use the infrastructure and bring it to all the geographies in Latin America, because in the past we saw that we could invest and double investments in very rural areas, and some of them didn't have coverage, and achieving this in Ecuador is going to be very important. So when we select the project in which the Bid Invest participate, which is the criteria? Because the audience is very interested in all this, and there are some initiatives. So which are the criteria that Bid Invest uses in order to give a priority? Well, we as a development bank and looking for feasible projects, we look for this profitability. We call it impact. And also we can look for this profitability. And also looking for projects that maximize the access to broadband connectivity. And this is one of the challenges we have in Latin America, being more productive and the more vulnerable situation. And also it is very important to us. And also how we can replicate them. And also using the lessons learned and bringing to others. In our investments in digital infrastructure, we are focusing on the deployment of the infrastructure to improve the access and also to give telecommunication services of high quality. The increase of local content is important to us because the use of internet, especially in the region, is very linked to having content in their language and being a cultural referent. Sometimes it's not easy to translate things, and so this is why we need to increase the number of local content devices also, as you all know, all the smartphones and everything related to modems for households, the broadband also, so that the users can connect, and also the development of capabilities and the skills. People need to know how to use that and use them in a reasonable way. And to us, these are the 4 pillars. And we always underline that we need to work jointly in all pillars, because it's useless to have connectivity and not focus on the others. So this is why we select a project and not another one. So this joint experience also means that we can put this into practice, and also looking for different operators and different actors, and putting efforts together in order to satisfy our need. This has been very important, and Internet for All has given us some lessons, and we have to try and replicate this model in other countries. And your principles are fundamental when determining where we can replicate the model. And also the ecosystem of content and the skills in order to make the most of this digitalization are crucial, but also an environment of operators that wants to do all these together. Andres, you mentioned something that is very important in Ecuador, the Galapagos Island. The president said, and he said one of the main declarations in the climate summit and in Galapagos Islands, in connectivity. And islands are an important challenge, not only to give communication, but also to protect the ecosystem. So are there any specific models to reach the islands? Is there a specific plan for the Galapagos Islands in order to protect this ecosystem? Well, we are planning and looking for the way to bring an underwater cable to the island. We are fully convinced that it is the only way to give connectivity. And also, once we get there, we have another challenge, because it's World Heritage. And this means that everything is more complicated. We will have to create specific public policies with an environmental bias, and also boosting other aspects we will not be able. And also, it's a treasure to us. So this means that in Arcodel and the operators, we will need to work jointly with the different groups in order to deploy it. So it is our priority given by the government, and we are working in order to achieve this goal. Thank you very much, Andre. So going back to the criteria for the project and Internet for All, it is important to assess the project and which are the lessons learned and how can the EU assess this project. Well, from our perspective, it's been a success, although there's still a long way to go. But to us, the results are very positive because we have proven that rural connectivity can be sustainable and replicable in other countries in Latin America. Because we have designed a very solid solution that has been a pioneer in the world. It's very innovative, it's working very well, and it allows us to put our efforts together and put our resources together so that this infrastructure is sustainable. And if you have a license to operate a spectrum, you can be a client of Internet for All. And also, now that we talk about initiatives and public-private alliances, that this worked. And we cannot do the same in all the countries, but we can learn from the lessons. And so that other countries can implement it in the same way. And this generates a benchmark, because how many examples are in the world of rural shared infrastructure? Well, not many. In Latin America, we have 100 million people who are not connected. In Peru, 6. And how can we use this model to reach others? As I said, we have signed this pact, and we feel very excited about it. And we want to keep on supporting the Internet for All project. But there are many other lessons learned. The paradigm of the demand. There is demand in rural areas. Definitely, there is a huge demand. And that we can use network technologies, and the cost is very appealing. It is another paradigm that we have discovered, and it is a sustainable and profitable model. Well, figures talk by themselves, and also I think that how can we have a neutral operator? There are many other models, and also we have another example of how we can evolve it from 4G to 2G and improve the coverage in rural aspects. And we have given this connectivity real time. And there are many lessons learned. But we are very positive, we are very happy of having these efforts with Telefónica. And it's not only the profitability, financially speaking, but also its social impact, which is very important to us. And I think we are achieving it even faster than we thought. Well, so we also agree that we have learned during the way and doing a project that can be sustainable and putting together other actors in order to satisfy this demand has been one of the main learnings that we had as a company. It is a model that we can replicate. Do you think that we have the conditions? You think that it is mature enough? What could happen? Well, we are working in order to generate the best conditions, reducing the cost of the use of the spectrum, reformulating the usage, and we are reformulating the Alcatel vision in order to be allies of the regulators. We want to be allies, and because we need to establish another type of relationship between the state and us. We are creating another vision, another relationship. We collaborate with them in order to create this situation, and also bringing the connectivity. And we are also working in different aspects, because we cannot reach if we deploy infrastructures, and we need the full pack, the technology at service of the people with these devices and the contents that we need to have, and also the ministry and the application of the participation of many agents, and also sharing the responsibilities of the different operators that can help us.
I believe that in a short time, Ecuador might be ready to launch a project of this nature. Thank you very much. I believe we have had the chance to share the complexity of the issue from two perspectives. Gemma, would you like to share a final message? Any closing remarks? Any take-home message? Well, I would like to say that there is an opportunity to digitally connect rural areas. We are trying it, and I am sure the project will be replicable in many countries in Latin America. Andres, any final remarks? Indeed, the opportunity is there, the unmet need is there, and the only way to ensure development is to grant technology for those who need it, which is the raison d'etre of telecommunication companies, governments, and regulators. Thank you very much. Thank you to all of you. From Telefónica, we are convinced that rural connectivity is key to close one of today's major gaps, even more so after the COVID-19 pandemic. We are aware of the need to tackle this gap. Count on us. We are at your disposal, and it is always a pleasure to see we have partners and allies in this endeavor. Telefónica will do one step forward. We have signed a rural manifesto, as Juan already mentioned. We are listing the key areas in which we believe we can participate, and of course we urge other stakeholders to tackle this challenge all together. Thank you very much to all of you. We're gonna leave you, but before we'll display a clip. Thank you very much.
Negrourco, una pequeña comunidad originaria a la que solo es posible acceder por vía aérea o mediante una larga travesía por el río Napo. Pero allí donde casi nada llega, han conseguido llegar las telecomunicaciones.
Durante el parto, de mi casa no podía tener, no había obstetriz y no podía tener el parto.
El riesgo es que la mamá no se ha hecho una ecografía para descartar si pudiera estar haciendo sufrimiento fetal. Entonces comunicamos a Santa Clotilde, a la obstetra, me dijo, tenemos que llevar a esta paciente a Iquitos.
Gracias a Dios, como digo ahí, la tecnología se comunicó más rápido.
Pues la vida de las personas cambia cuando están conectadas. Y por tanto es una responsabilidad de Telefónica y es una responsabilidad absolutamente alineada con nuestros valores.
La educación es el vehículo más rápido hacia el progreso de cualquier sociedad, e Internet es una gran ventana abierta de par en par al conocimiento.
La llegada de Internet acá en Negrourco fue una cosa maravillosa, ¿no? Y para nosotros como institución está muy bueno. En cuanto a los estudiantes, ha permitido ir fortaleciendo el nivel de conocimiento de logros. Y para los maestros también les permite planificar más adecuadamente, de acuerdo a la realidad, al interés de los estudiantes.
La sostenibilidad por el lado humano está vinculada a la idea de sumar a todos, a la sociedad, de incluir a todos.
Si algo nos brinda la sociedad digital es la histórica oportunidad de igualarnos a todos. Ese es el gran anhelo de Telefónica, conectar la vida de las personas, estén donde estén, para hacer nuestro mundo más humano.
Y lo más lindo que uno se pueda comunicar de tan distante, que tengo mis hijitos que viven lejos, y a lo menos que les escuche sus voces por entre medio del celular.
Y se puede hacer muchísimas cosas con la comunicación. Entonces, no tener comunicación es como nuestros ojos estarían vendados.
Por una tecnología más humana.
Qué bonito.
Bueno, muchas gracias. Thanks a lot.